Dusty, snap out of it!
Any of this look familiar?
Our constellation contact is on approach.
Yeah, but come on. Exploring space? Who does that anymore? Ain't the space we've already got complicated enough?
Welcome aboard the Starfield Report podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Starfield Report podcast. I am your host, Kenny Smyson, and with me, as always, is Captain Jax Wiley. How you doing, Jax?
Doing wonderful this morning. Hello, captains. How is everyone out there doing today?
And it's been a while since we did a podcast. I think it was a month ago when we interviewed Sweet Pea. That was a fun episode. So if you haven't listened to that one, she did was it immersive workbenches, immersive fireplaces, or something.
Placeable walls.
Okay, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got quite a few out, and she's working really hard on some new decoration, custom decorations for ships and for outposts that she's going to be putting out before too awful long, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah,
it's going to be in the tune of didn't she say hundreds of items?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's going to be really cool.
That's going to be a nice mod for decking out your ship and putting stuff around where, you got those little niches that are empty or empty habs, empty rooms, especially if you do outposts, they're completely empty. The whole thing has to be decorated. So give you a lot of opportunity to customize it and make it your own.
Yep. So, and I just want to let the audience know, part of the reason my content has slowed down a little bit is because my wife, she's over 7 months pregnant. So as we head into a home stretch here, we've rounded third base. We're heading to home plate this last couple months here. So my content will definitely slow down. Going to try to maintain the podcast at least fairly regularly. But the content on my YouTube channel might slow down, my ship builds and other stuff. So just be mindful of that. Do apologize. What we might start doing with the podcast, though, is try to maintain the frequency that we're usually about 2 episodes a month, but the episodes might just be a little shorter. So that's what we're looking at for the next 3 months of the podcast. And I'm probably gonna take about 3 weeks off. So try not to get too hopeful, but I'm hoping I have enough time while I'm off on paternity leave to get a lot of content done, kind of in between taking care of the baby and the kid and the wife.
I'm so happy for you guys. It's great times. It's such a change and awesome part of having a family and just living life.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. All right, Jax, what are we doing today?
So today we are going to take a deep dive into the first DLC for Starfield. It's called Shattered Space. And we're going to do a walkthrough of the entire DLC. So stick with us, folks. We're going to start from the beginning and work our way through this whole thing. Hopefully by the time we get finished up, we can start talking about the excitement of a second DLC for Starfield.
Yep, and that was kind of the reason why we did the Shattered Space DLC first before doing the main faction quests like Vanguard and Crimson Fleet and whatnot, because on the off chance that the Varun quest line and their lore intertwines into the final DLC, which I could easily see that, with a lot of the fan theories about who started the religion, the whole Great Serpent, everything. It could have been a Starborn. I think Wicked's gaming, his theory is the guy that invented the grav drive. If I remember right, Wicked's theory is the guy who invented the grav drive was a Starborn. He was teaching himself how to make it, and then started the House of Varun. I think that was his theory. I could be wrong. So Wicked, if I'm wrong on that, you can correct me. But yeah. So we want to get into the Shattered Space DLC here. That way we're ready for if Bethesda decides to do an abrupt drop of the final DLC, rumored to be Starborn. But then that way we can hop straight into that. But
And only rumored to be the final DLC.
true, rumored to be called Starborn.
Ride this train all the way to the end of the track, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, rumored to be Starborn and rumored to be the final. But I don't know. I don't think it would necessarily be the final. I could see them still putting out more content. I mean, it's a new game. It's just so, and they can make stuff pretty easy. Because with the procedural generation, they could create a new story DLC. Obviously, make some original locations, but you don't have to build the map around a base. You build a unique base. You put it on a planet. When people land there, the procedural generation will draw what's around the base. So it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be too hard to make new DLC. So for context, heading into this Shattered Space DLC, my character is now in his final universe, and I don't want to go through the Unity again unless I have to because of bugs. But what I'm doing with this character is I romanced Andreja fully. Coincidentally, she was my wife in my first universe, and spoiler, in case nobody's played the main story, we should say spoiler. Andreja died, and so I had romanced her fully in the game, and that was like the midpoint of the main quest, where you lose one of the constellation members dies, one of the main four, and so as I met Andreja in subsequent universes, I was pretty standoffish, and being that I'm role playing myself as best as I can in the context of the Starfield universe, I was kind of standoffish. No, I wouldn't say standoffish. I was definitely just wanting to keep an emotional distance, because that's how I would probably react to it. Like seeing this woman that looks like my wife. She's but a multiverse version of her. But more for just seeing how the game would actually handle it, not so much my personal role play. I did decide to go ahead and romance her in this universe. And side note on that, when you talk to each of the main constellation members, so Andreja, Sarah, Barrett, and Sam, at least with Andreja and Sarah, they were both like, "Oh, who are you?" So there's that meme, and I was like, it doesn't make. Maybe for Andreja, but not for Sarah. Why would Sarah be acting all weird? She's like this, let's explore and stuff. So it seemed to be a bit of a contradiction in the Sarah we know of, for her to be so weirded out by coming across a multiverse version of you. All of them, I think, even like the secondary members of Constellation are pretty, for the most part, weirded out. But except for Mateo, he's the only one who's like, let's give him a chance and stuff. But with Andreja and Sarah both, as I talked to them, after like having a couple options of saying like, I want to get to know this version of you. They're both like, this version of us. There's like a closet with a bunch of us in it. I can't remember how they worded it, but they were like, acting negative. Yeah, offended. And so. But after you go through that conversation, then after that point, there's no dialogue, no references at all to you being Starborn or having gone through the Unity.
You'll run into certain instances during dialogue checks where it'll say use your Starborn knowledge as one of the answers instead of soldier or medic
or long hauler.
Yeah, but there'll be a Starborn that basically kind of pushes through all the BS and gets to the point. Hey, I know you're going to do it anyway. Let's just do it.
Yeah, it becomes kind of like a diplomacy, and the flavor depends on on the situation, but sometimes it's a more diplomatic way to say something to somebody because you kind of know the outcome. In some cases,
Right.
it's more of an intimidation.
Yes.
But yeah, with the main four, they just never acknowledged it again. And so here I am running around with Andreja, and I exit the shipbuilder, and she's like, "Oh, who has star yards when I've got you around?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 2 hours ago you were just telling me how you were freaked out by me, and now you're just like happy that I'm on your side because I'm a great shipbuilder." Um,
Right.
and then she will say stuff like, well, but even then, she said it after you started getting powers in the first universe. She's like something. She acknowledges your powers, like, "Wow, it's incredible to have that kind of power," or something like that. But she did that before, in the very first universe, anyways. And so, I mean, just a little, sidebar on that. I really only see this is where I think in say 10 years time, AI will probably help role playing games significantly. I do not want AI replacing developers and writers and designers by any stretch of the means. But I think the gaming companies that actually embrace AI properly, not to replace employees, I mean, probably will be a slight reduction in employee load, but to use it as a tool. Because if you take the multiverse of Starfield, it's almost impossible to do it if you're just writing it manually. You almost have to have an AI set parameters around it, and then you go through Unity, and like you just have to say, okay, well, we need, especially for the alternate universe versions, they're like, okay, make an alternate universe AI, but here's the parameters. They need to be able to quickly get all of these artifacts so that they can then exit the universe again. Or you can maybe just have that be a static quest that's built in that AI doesn't touch for safety protocol. But then every NPC, every side quest is all different, right? So, so all that is, yeah. So all that is to say, it was slightly bit of a letdown how quickly you being from another universe is kind of just acknowledged and then moved on, and now it doesn't seem to be affecting this universe whatsoever. Because when I did the whole Andreja marriage thing,
Yeah, it's just one quick acknowledgement. Yep, you're starboard for another place. Okay, let's move on.
Yep.
Oh, well, you're a little weird. Okay, now let's move on.
Yep, just a little weird. So, all right, and so which brings us to the mission at hand. Now, I am doing. I'm playing this universe very straight. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing console commands to get anything, which I did on other universes, just because I did want to accelerate the process a little bit. I'm playing this one totally straight, so I'm not acquiring anything through console commands. The only thing I'll do is adjust my vendor credits access so I can sell stuff quicker. But I'm really working and earning my way through this main quest. So accessing my cargo, just to dump stuff in there from far away, and vendor credits.
Quality of life, changes that they're vanilla changes that they changed in like the second or third patch.
Yeah. So what I did is, now the way the Oracle's, it's called the Oracle Space Station, and the quest is What Remains. And at some point, once you have that DLC installed, when you're high enough level and you jump somewhere, the Oracle Space Station will appear at that right where you jumped into a new system. Now, knowing that, as soon as that happened, after I went through the universe, I jumped to the system Cassiopeia, ETA Cassiopeia, which is slightly northwest of Alpha Centauri and Sol System. And I like it because it's a breathable planet, habitable planet, lots of ocean, coastline, coniferous forest, and there's a little island I was able to find that it takes a little while to find the spot, but you can get a coniferous coastline, and but usually anywhere you land on the coast, the trees are like a couple hundred yards from the coast. This one, they're right up there, and so I've got this neat little kind of cove. So I'm going to build it's almost going to look like a little personal resort with my shipbuilder kind of on a little peninsula as it sticks out from the land. And so it's going to be pretty sweet once I actually, because I've never built an outpost before. So it's going to be pretty sweet when I build that outpost.
Yeah, so that's a big difference between your and my game playing style. Mm-hmm. That there's quite a bit of this game that you've not experienced. You've not done any of the reagent stuff yet?
No, and if it weren't for the podcast, I would have done it months ago. But I'm now relishing the fact that there's going to be something really new to me in a few months when we get to that quest line.
I think that's really neat. You haven't done
Yeah.
Shattered Space, so all of this coming up is all brand new content for you.
Mhm.
So you've got a large portion, 25% of the game or more, that's still brand new, where the rest of us, me, I've been through all of this 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
Shattered Space only once, but I'm
Yeah.
going through it a second time now. And it's like rewatching a movie from high school that you haven't watched and going, oh, yes, I remember this part. Oh,
Yeah.
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 That conversation.
Well, a big part of the game for me is the shipbuilding. I probably spend, I wouldn't say half, but probably like a third of my time in the shipbuilder. And a lot of times I'll just hop in and just play around with building a ship, and I won't even save it. Because I mean, most of the time I could pretty closely rebuild anything. But once I finish a ship in the builder, I could rebuild it later if from memory if I needed to. So a lot of times it's like I might have a cool idea of like having halves and parts in a certain way. I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea, but what would the rest of the ship look like around it? And so I'll do that thing, build a ship around it, see what it looks like. And there's been a couple ships where I've used that idea, and I've done that 3 or 4 times, and it ends up eventually I'll actually make a ship I save. But yeah, so I'd say like I might play 2 hours in the shipbuilder one evening, and so I've not made any progress in anything in the game, no quests or anything. But that's why I've not gotten that, combined with saving content for the podcast, because I think it'll be good to, at least with this quest and the Asian quest line, going through them with you having played them already and me experiencing it the first time. So hopefully that provides it for interesting conversation. So anyways, I made a point to travel to Cassiopeia system to get the Oracle space station to spawn there. I also did that with the failure to communicate quest, where eventually the Lopez and the little settlers, they needed to fight off the pirates. I made a point, once that quest popped up, I reloaded a save and I put it in Cassiopeia. So anytime that happens, if there's a quest that's based on you traveling into somewhere, it's probably gonna be the one thing I kind of cheat on, because I just think it would be cool to have like all that popping off in my home system. So anyways, so Oracle space station, you hop out of a grab jump, and it's right there in front of your ship. Almost within docking distance. This huge space station, unlike anything you've seen before. It's got a lot of spires and vertical stuff, and it's a very. I thought every time I've ever played, I thought it was a distress signal calling for help. But if you actually listen to it, he's telling you, do not board.
Yeah, but it's all garbled.
Yeah, it's like, so what do you do when a space station says do not board?
Well, I mean, of course you got to go find out where the monsters are.
You got to board it. So, the thought occurred to me, did you ever see District 9?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite alien movie ever. It's so well done. Neil Blomkamp. Off the top of my head, I think their space station, the alien space station in that movie, I think reminds you a lot of the Oracle. Total side note, but
yeah. But I decided to put mine because I also knew that it was going to appear whenever you load it and then you jump. That's where it's going to appear. I decided I wanted to put it in the Serpentis system, because that kind of just made sense with all the Varun running around over there, the Varun Zealot ships and stuff. So I just put it over there because I thought it made sense for the, what we were doing and who it was we were talking about, and all the Varun related content, and it's already kind of in that part of the known system anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I put it over there, because I wanted to have access to a bunch of space battles at the same time as I was going to be rolling through this DLC.
Now, if the space station is there in Serpentis, when you travel to it, do any enemies happen to spawn there, or because really? They
Yeah,
will
same
spawn
route.
right there. Okay, because I was thinking like maybe the presence of that space station would prevent anything from spawning.
And there's a cycle to it. I don't know what the time frame is, but like let's just say you jump in and go to one of the Serpentis planets and you get into an encounter. You take out everybody. You take out the spaceships that are in that encounter, and then you jump back to Sol, and then you jump back to that same planet. You're not going to get another encounter right away. It's got to be, I don't know if it's 24, 48 hours, 72 hours of game time has to pass before that encounter resets. So you're not going to get a space battle every time you jump in.
Okay.
If you've already taken care of it once, then it's taken care of for a while. And if there's like a pre-generated activity that you've taken care of, I think it'll just stay as taken care of. What I'm talking about is that some of the newer, they've changed up some of the random activities where you'll jump into a system and you can see a little icon of a spaceship that says enemy activity or
Yeah.
unknown contact or something like that. So if you go over and check out the spaceship, well, from now on, there's going to be that contact there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was usually generated and then it was baked in the first time you appeared. But just the
Okay.
random encounters will still happen randomly.
Okay. And so when you go to dock on the space station, there's no resistance, there's no space battle, nothing. You just show up, you hear the message, garbled message saying "Do not board." So then you board, and it's a 0G environment, which I love those because I always like to have mines on me. Because when you're in 0G dealing with enemies and you've got some mines, proximity mines, you just throw them out there. It's like a frisbee, and you can. I've sometimes I'll hit guys like way up behind cover, and at the least it just kind of flushes them out. So if you're having a hard time with 0G navigation, with a recoil from your guns, just throw a mine up there, let it trigger and hit them, especially the Inferno ones, because it catches them on fire, and then that way you see where they are. So at the very least, as like a tracer, that's because the fire lasts for I think a good 10 seconds.
That's a good idea. I don't like the 0G. I don't dislike it. I just find it very frustrating because
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't use shotguns in 0G. Do not use a boomstick. The boomstick sends you backwards.
Fully automatic weapons, same thing.
Yep. Semi-auto pistols. So thankfully usually a 0G battle is going to be in a confined space because it's usually in a space when you've destroyed the grab drive before you're bored.
Right.
So that does help. Once your back hits a wall, as long as you're not taking too much damage, just you're stationary, just unload on them. So you go in what's
thing,
that?
Though. This is a whole different thing. This is wide open spaces. When you get into the Oracle, it's the first couple of trigger points are just go explore. I need you to go explore this space station. And so you're looking around. There's quite a few things to find too. Before you ever run into any enemies, there's a couple of nice. If you're doing this like at level 35, like they say, hey, you recommended level 35 to start this quest. You do it at level 35. You've not gone. This is your first playthrough. You're not going to have the greatest armor. You're not going to have the greatest weapons. So going through this space station, you can find some pretty good new armor and pretty good new weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And with DLC, there's 3 new weapons that are presented to the player.
Yeah, there was the heavy gun. I found that. That was towards the end. I think that was I got it off of a guy. So I haven't used it yet, but it'd be fun to play with that one.
I think there's a mannequin that has some weapons and armor in like a side room that before you get into any enemies, which is essentially what it's doing is the game is trying to give you some help and level you up before you go get massacred.
Yeah, so when you go in the station, you'll go through like a long tunnel. You see a mirage, well, kind of a mirage of a guy, and then interacting with somebody else, if I remember right. And then you go into this huge main room with this sculpture, and there are two enemies you have to face there, and they kind of
Yep.
they like phase in, or like when I first. Oh no. Wait, no. You come across the two with that blue background before you get to the big room. Right? Okay, so let's rewind a little. You come the first time I came across it's a man and a woman, and they're kind of having a quasi argument, and they're all glowing blue and stuff. So I thought it was like a mirage. I thought I'm like just experiencing like some like starborn potential power of just seeing the past or something.
Right.
Until the woman like snaps and the dude's like, no. And she's like, I'm changing. And then she shoots you and it hurts. So then I had to shoot her back. You kill her and then you can loot her body. But the guy faded out. So at this point, you're maybe kind of dealing with some multiversal people phasing in and out kind of thing. It's kind of my take on it, having only done this mission and don't know what is yet to come. And now that blue background, that big glowing stuff. Did you ever watch The Expanse?
Yes.
So did you get far enough into The Expanse where you saw the proto-molecule, that plot line?
Yep.
All of that blue stuff, I'm like, okay, whoever wrote the Shattered Space DLC clearly was a fan of The Expanse. I mean, obviously a lot of there was definitely some Expanse fans in development of Starfield because some of the default characters are straight out of the show. Naomi and Amos, for example, they're when you're making your character, their hairdo and Amos is, in fact, my combat veteran, he's based. I took the Amos face, but just gave him long hair with a cowboy hat. So, anyways, this blue stuff, it's all over the walls in some places and over some structures, and it looks like the proto-molecule. So as an Expanse fan, it's my favorite sci-fi show. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It's that little touch of detail. But I don't remember the lady saying. I can't remember the conversation though between the two. It's the woman that snaps and attacks you, and then the dude fades out. Do you remember any of the detail on that conversation?
Yeah. It's just I don't know if we're meant to get a full understanding of what they're talking about. It's just little clues as to there's been some kind of incident.
Some kind of disaster. It's more of like a panicky. They're panicked.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, so from there, you proceed, and then it's shortly after that you get into a very large room, and there's this like sculpture floating or suspended in the middle, and you're still, of course, all zero G as you're navigating this whole thing. And then that's when there's two dudes that come out, and you fight them, kill them. Now I'm running Darkstar, so I don't know how high level these guys would have been, but these guys were no joke with the Darkstar mod.
Yep.
They almost killed me.
50th level for me, something like that, and I have all of the enemy damage maxed out, so I am taking just extreme maximum damage from these guys, and I've got my spaceship damage and my personal damage turned down a notch, so it's instead of me dealing max, I'm dealing almost max, and they're dealing extreme max to me.
Oh, okay. So your stuff, your damage dealing is set like towards easier. Yep. So all parties involved hurt the other party more effectively. Okay.
To the extreme,
yeah.
One notch down.
Oh, so you're still on that side of it. So you're very hard on your damage output.
Yeah.
Very hard. Okay. Yeah, I'm just on normal on both right now. Ever since I installed Darkstar, I used to play extreme on both. Now I'm just playing normal. Just because
they were one-shotting me, and it was taking 5 or 6 or 7 shots by the time I got onto one guy, got him almost down. The other guy would come around the corner and one-shot me. Yep. So they would double team me, and I couldn't get through this. I could not get through these two.
Well, when I started getting hit, I immediately sidestepped, and just by luck, there's like this side tunnel where there's some of that blue glowing matter over there, and that's where I was able to just kind of strafe out, shoot, strafe back in, and eventually I picked one off, and I was able to. I always use the phase time power to slow time down when I'm shooting, so I can just drop guys. Now, when you go in that room, from right before once you've killed those guys, go back to where you entered that room, make a 90-degree right, go down. I think you'll eventually start going down a little hallway, and there's a door on the right hand side that's locked, and there's 2 high level spacesuits in there. So, assuming you get to this point and you don't have a good armor spacesuit, be sure to head down there and see what they have.
That might have been what I was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
I think there's spacesuit when you first come in the door. You're able to find 1 spacesuit, and then there's this room, and it's got 2 cases with 2 mannequins and 2 spacesuits, and it's one of them I think was like Travelers Alliance armor set. So that's a pretty good one. That's one of the higher level ones, and if you get the RNG right and it rolls for your level, so you're getting really good piece of armor that's leveled up to your level, the RNG works for you. You got some pretty good armor at that point.
Yeah. Now, make sure to activate go into your quest log, guys, and make sure to activate the quest, because there's a side quest in this of just finding there's 4 slates. And I didn't have the quest line activated when I was first in here, and so by the time I found a slate, it was slate number 3. So then I knew there was two more I had missed that would probably be in the general path I'd come to at this point. And so the first one, when you're in that big room, if you go forward up towards the sculpture, but then immediately nosedive down, it's at the very bottom, and there's like a little kind of workstation right there, and it's just sitting on like the stand or whatever. And so it's a little audio clips kind of explaining some of what's been going on in the quest.
Right.
Dropping little hints, like there's obviously a science experiment that's gone awry. Is kind of the general gist of it.
Yep. And so that's what we're trying to determine is what happened to these people. We've met this guy. His name is Shirak, Sirak. That's the other person that was in the conversation that we first had talking. Yep. He turns out to be the lead scientist for this experiment, and he's the one that's written these slates and left them all over the place. And so you're getting some insight to what he was trying to experiment with, and how the experiment, progresses to a point to where it's like, oh shit, now we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So it gives a little backstory that really gives you a lot of understanding as to what's going on around you, what it is that they're trying to get across and convey, so that you really understand the importance of what's going on around you. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too much coffee.
No, it's yeah, I'm just drinking water because I'm going to go back to bed. But no, that's they certainly don't provide a lot of information in this one, but just enough context to know there was an experiment gone awry. And at some point, I just happened to stumble across the the trash compactor. At one point, I'm just navigating through it. I go in this room, and I'm like, golly gee, there sure is a lot of garbage just floating around in this room. And it was a little late at night, and I wasn't putting 2 to 2 together, because I could have looked at that and been like, you know what? This is probably a trash compactor, because you go in it and it automatically. Okay, first off, I was in the tech. I was at a tech energy startup company for methane gas and stuff, and so not exactly a trash compactor, but I will say this. The amount of redundancy and all the safety protocols we had to go in designing our machines, you don't have a trash compactor that just triggers with a sensor to shut the door and start pressing everything in there.
Yeah.
That is the worst OSHA violation I have ever seen. So clearly OSHA does not exist anymore.
There is no OSHA in the universe. Yeah.
So I as soon as the sound clicks and and it's moving towards you, it's like obviously probably a hat tip to Star Wars, the trash compactor scene. So I went down to the one end and I could see there was the power cells. It's those big yellow red ones. I In every universe I kind of learned that always have one on you because you'll eventually come across something where you're supposed to put that in there. Now, usually, or I'd say always, there is one somewhere in the vicinity that you can find to put in there. But in some cases, if I'm in that situation, I want to put it in right away. Then I'll probably double back and try to find it, or the one that was intended for it. So I didn't, but because I'm in a new universe, I didn't have it yet, right? So I swam through the trash and found the power cell and threw it in there. I said, "Well, did you only have to do one, or was it two?" I think it was just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
I ended up using gravity well when I went in there to try to gather all the trash into one lump so that I could search the room, not realizing that I just buried the power cell in trash and never saw it.
Oh,
So I get to
man.
the other end and realize that there's a locked door, and I turn around and realize I'm about to be smushed, and then I start digging through the trash. Where is it? It's too late. I got smushed. So I had to roll through that again. But it was kind of, I had already done it once, and I didn't think about it because I'm rolling through it a second time now with my Jax Wiley character, who is specifically rolled up this character to do all the playthrough with everybody here in the Starfield work. So he's a dedicated character for you guys.
Now, see, that's where I tend to think I should probably just always be recording myself playing, because there might be like, one play session out of 20 that something wacky and funny happens like that I could then upload to my channel.
Yeah.
So you get out of that, and eventually sometime after that, I think it might have even been in the next room, you find the turn the gravity back on. And so I turned the gravity back on the station, which I will tell you, the one time having no gravity helps is when you're going for one of the slates. Because once I turned on the quest markers, and once you get within a certain distance of them, you start the little quest marker will appear on your screen, probably like when you're 100 feet or something like that. Well, at one point I started going up this huge shaft with there's structure, there's like industrial equipment around the perimeter of it, kind of going up. And and then I saw one of the markers up there. So I think that was the fourth slate, in fact. So I grabbed that slate. And then when I turned on the gravity and I went back towards that room, I looked up and I realized you'd have to boost pack your way all the way up there. And it from leapfrogging it. And so having the 0G there before to get that slate way up at the top is worth it at that point.
Yeah, you'd have to parkour your way across each little landing all the way up, and it's probably 1, 2, 3 or 4 stories, 3 or 4 building stories up. So that's quite a ways up to get up there.
And then eventually, and so I forgot to mention, I've got Andresia in tow. And so I'm paying attention, for the sake of the podcast here, of course, what it's like for her. And at times she would walk up to a dead body, or she would make comments, I think regarding Sirach, and as though she at least knew of him, assuming she didn't know him personally. And she had a very empathetic tone of voice, to the whole situation. So it's kind of implied that she either knew of them, or knew them personally. But when I try to talk to her, there was some kind of generic dialogue that she gave about it, that wasn't too specific. So at any point, did you stop and talk to who did you take through it? Did you have somebody with you?
First time I took It wasn't Andrasia. I think the first time I went solo. I think
Okay.
I went through it by myself, just wanting to experience it and see what happens. This time, I'm taking the UC Flag Girl with me
Okay.
because
Robin, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and I have not done any of the constellation stuff other than just walk into the lodge to get things
Yeah.
kicked off,
Okay.
so that I have access to the rest of the lodge. But I'm not palling around with none of those folks.
Okay.
It's all
Because I
this is
imagine Barrett and Sarah and Sam, they probably do have some lines of dialogue, but maybe obviously less personal. They might happen to say something that acknowledges the science, of what they're observing. But yeah, Andresia didn't really seem to have anything too profound yet, and certainly I don't think at this point being married to her had any impact on that quest. So
yeah. So you got to keep your eyes out for some of these little access key cards as you're going through here.
yeah,
And the
there's a few
quest
of them.
is going to continually update to tell you to explore the star station, or it might say find an Oracle access card, and then it'll give you a location. And so that's what you're doing is you're just following through this maze, and it's a big star station, and you're following through and you find the access card, and so then you explore a little more, and it'll say that you need to find the controls to the engineering bay. When you get close and find out, well, the engineering bay is right on the other side of that door, but it's locked
Yep.
again.
Yep.
Now go back, find the engineering bay access card.
Yep.
So that's Bethesda likes to do that kind of thing, especially in the Starfield, where they'll get you so far and then they'll tell you go back and find this thing. That I've found a lot that if you've played through the quest before, you would think that you could I'll just go over to that table and I'll get it. I know where it is, but it ain't there until you trigger it to go further until it says, "Hey, go find the card." Then when you go back, it's there. But you looked through everything. I play in a way that I look through everything, every door, every drawer, pick up every rug, move every table. I look at everything. It takes me forever to get through anything in this game because I'm so focused on seeing every little bit. And so I know if it was there or not. And it wasn't there, and now it is. So it's a little frustrating when you're like, man, the whole reason I did all that was so I didn't have to go back.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating because typically with Bethesda games, once you've done something the first time, then you know how you can do it shorter the next time, which is huge for those that want to replay the game, but they don't want to necessarily get bogged down. Like in the Crimson Fleet quest, one of the coolest quest lines is the one where you go aboard the cruise ship.
Yeah.
But in subsequent playthroughs, it's tragically boring because you know everything. So I would almost say it's probably the single best quest in that quest line the first time you play, but almost the worst after that. So unfortunately, though, yeah, there's really, I mean, you know exactly where to go and what to do, so you don't have to meander, but you still have to play the long game and go from point A to point B and do it in a very specific order.
Yeah, you have to make
So,
sure you hit all the triggers.
yeah.
This is where you're in you're in a side room to that long open column.
Yep.
And
yep.
this is where you're going to turn the power back onto the base.
Yep.
And so you go over, you manipulate the computer, power starts back up. And I think, is this when you get gravity?
Oh, this might be. I might have my memory a little off on it. I thought it was shortly after the trash compactor that I turned on the gravity. No, because I went up the well first just to explore and found the card up there. Came back down, turned on the gravity, and that was noticeably after the trash compactor. Yeah, so yeah, okay. You get the gravity turned on.
There's a lot of back and forth here. And
yeah.
I'm reading some of the notes, and it says, I've gained access to the engineering bay, and I need to use the main controls to restore power to the station. Okay, yep. Pretty good. Go over and use the computer. I attempted to restore the power, but it didn't work. Jarek appears again. So I should listen to what they have to say. So then the next thing, you got to listen to the shimmering dude that comes up.
Mm.
Says, while finding my way to the gravity controls, the disposal containment unit suddenly turned on. I need to find the emergency power cell in order to restore the power to the exit controls before I get crushed. So that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
And it says I need to insert the emergency power cell. So it's taking you just almost by the hand, leading you at this
Yeah.
point. Point. And, so you put
Well,
the
but
thing.
this entire space station, most of it, there's a couple locked doors, but there's a fair amount of it that, from that main first room, the big room you first come across, you can go in so many different directions. So if they didn't kind of hold your hand through this, for some players, it probably would be pretty challenging.
You could get lost.
Get lost easily. Yeah.
So you get out of the compactor. I need to restore gravity in order to move the ejected power cell back down. Oh, restore the Oracle's gravity. So this is where you restore the gravity, right? And then you find an alternate path to reach the gravity control. So you're trying to get the gravity turned on, but you got to go there a different way because now that there's, I guess, stuff in the way, doors are locked, right?
Yep.
You get the gravity turned back on. Found the controls. You need to use them to restore the gravity of the station in hopes of lowering the power cell into place. Okay, so that's what it is. The big room, the big column room.
Yeah.
So as you learn and read the slates, it explains that they were trying to use grav drive technology for spaceships and convert an entire space station into a lighter, faster than light travel vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you can basically move cities using faster than light travel rather than just spaceships.
A massive grav drive, basically.
Yes, and so they've got this huge things, almost like nuclear rod technology, where they raise it or lower it, and so you've got to get that thing in the right place in order to turn the gravity back on.
Yeah, and then I think from there, I think it's pretty much a straight shot to going to kind of the command center to the place where you have that boss fight where you the guy's walking. I don't think it was Sirach. It was I think it was somebody else was walking around and kind of. I was trying to pay attention to what he was saying to get any clues as to what's going on, but it wasn't too clear. And eventually he just aggroes on you and then take him out. There is one of those kind of yellow, those dice, like the D20 kind of chests. So make sure to look for that. I think it's somewhere in that room. Some loot in there. And then and I was constantly getting those little vortex shards. Is that what it's called? I don't know what. I'm assuming that's a crafting thing, but I don't, or use later. I just don't know what for yet. So,
hold on to those. Find them.
Okay.
Yeah. So it says you get back to the operations center now that you've got gravity, and now you want to reboot the entire space station's computer system.
Mm-hmm.
Start doing that, then Sirach will start talking again, and he says you should listen to him in case they have any further instructions. And it gets to a point, and you realize that what's going on is these guys, when they phased to the new location, their bodies didn't completely phase, and it's driving them insane. Some people can hold on to their sanity a little longer than others. Okay. And at this point, Sirach finally cracks and loses his hold on humanity and goes hostile on you. So it is him that you have to kill.
Okay.
It says here that you have to kill Sirach. And then at that point, you have a bunch of vortex phantoms start coming in.
Yep.
So now it's a full combat again. And you got to kill the phantoms, and with the hostiles taken care of, you can finally reboot the mainframe. So once you kill Sirach, then you're going to have other phantoms start popping in and showing up. And you've run into these guys before in random.
You've already killed
ships.
a few of them at this point,
Right.
so it's probably what 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them throughout
Yeah.
the whole ship as you're
Well,
exploring.
I'm in this final fight. I'm trying to remember how many it was.
Yeah, there's multiple. Take them out, and then you get to do what? You get to.
Oh, this is when you activate the grab drive to jump back to where you had jumped, where the station had jumped from, which puts you in the Varun home system, right above their home planet.
And it takes a minute. And this is a pretty cool location. This is the operations room, and it's a full glass operations where you can see a lot of the space station out in space. You can see the outside, and you can see, the planets in the background of the location wherever you happen to locate your Oracle.
Yeah.
You can see that planet in the background. I'm not sure at this point if you can like walk around and look around the edges and see your spaceship docked.
You can shortly in the initial long hallway you walk. You can look out the window and see your ship there. But I don't think you can see it from, because I did try to see if I could spot it from that operations center, but I couldn't.
Funny how we all do that, huh?
Yeah.
What can I see? What can I look out the window?
Where's my ship? Where's my ship? I just love seeing my ship. Like that's why for starters, they need to fix that bug where the ships dock upside down. Like the Hope Tech and the forward facing one and the Stroud Eklund side one. When you dock on the eye and you start walking around that perimeter ring to look out, your ship's just upside down. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, yes. So you see the planet. So in my case, it was Cassiopeia down below. But then once you do the jump, then you're above the Varun homeworld. And now I didn't land yet, but you do get a communication from somebody saying like identify yourself or something like that, and or like hailing you. So you end up talking back to him, and he's like, okay, well, you guys need to come down here. There's stuff we need to discuss with you. So, and that's right. Saved and we'll have to resume in the next episode.
Yep. So now we get to go explore the Varun homeworld that's been hidden from us the whole time.
Yeah, my wife's homeworld. Now, so my overall thoughts on this initial quest, it did an excellent job, kind of creating some mystery, giving you a general idea of what you're going to be dealing with, but without spoiling too much. So,
I really liked the new dungeon, and it was a new space to explore.
Yeah.
Once I got more comfortable with the zero gravity, it wasn't as distracting. When I first started into this, it was very distracting, very disorienting and confusing for me to navigate through, but I got accustomed to it. I still don't really care for zero G that much, but it's what it is. It's part of the game. We're in space. What do you expect?
Yep.
So, yeah, I turn on the grab drive as soon as I can. Turn it on.
Yep.
Turn it on. Let's get back. I like the whole. We were talking about the Expanse earlier. I like really how they do it in theirs with the boots, and it's you click the heels together to turn the magnetism on.
Yeah.
And then you magnet down to the deck.
Oh yeah.
There's like one particular episode of The Expanse where there's a new person that's not accustomed to those mag boots, and they go through a whole scene. It's 3 or 5 minutes of them explaining how you use the mag boots, and you get accustomed to it. It shows her walking a little awkward, but then after an episode, you notice that she's walking just fine. Evidently, it just becomes like a child learning to walk. You just eventually learn how to do it, and it looks normal now. So they kind of explained away anti-gravity or zero gravity in that show by doing that. So I kind of liked that. we can do something like that here.
Oh yeah, I mean, with Starfield basically having a grav drive on your ship, it's almost like, well, that's how you travel faster than light, but that's just also how you have artificial gravity on your ship.
Sure, why not?
So yeah, it works for the context of the game, for the mechanics.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So this was obviously just mission 1 of the Shattered Space DLC. There's a total of 8. Now, I'm pretty much spoiler free on it, but I did read through the titles because we were trying to figure out where we should split this up. So we're going to end up doing 3 more episodes for the Shattered Space DLC. So next episode will be missions 2 and 3. And then the next episode that we do after that will be missions 4, 5, 6, and 7, because those 4 are, I don't want to spoil anything, but I do know now that you can do those in any order, and one of them is like a subquest within one of them. So there's 3 main ones there, and then with one little subquest in it, and then mission 8 is the finale of the DLC. So that'll be its own quest where we can talk about just that one, plus kind of the overarching DLC as a whole, the whole quest line. So look forward to that. So your homework this week is just episodes 2 and 3, and we'll get into that. And thank you guys very much for tuning in. We do appreciate you listening to us. And as always, if you have any feedback, you can send it in to starfieldreport@gmail.com. and play along with us. Any last words, Jax?
Well, guys, you know how I go. Take care of yourselves, be careful, and drive fast, and take lots of chances.
All right. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Starfield Report podcast. Take care, folks. We will see you in the Starfield.
Now, that was some fine work under pressure.
Get out of here, Dusty. You're on to bigger things.